3.5 months. 3.5 months. And I'm sure of you holiday often nowadays and, have children to visit in these places and you get there, in 24 hours. So that's the kind of changes that have happened. Let me see, I had some more questions down. Okay, other things that happened. A Gujarati gentleman from South Africa, he started an experiment, a social experiment, where even, it was with the revolutionary idea that people of higher castes in India would actually clean the toilets of the lower caste people or anybody else who was in that commune. What was the name of that commune? What was the name of that commune? No, not the Phoenix Farm. Huh? No, not yet, Vardha. 1917, he started something, an actual physical space, the Sabarmati Ashram. So the same year that UVCE was founded, the Sabarmati Ashram was founded in Gujarat. The sad thing is, what a revolutionary idea for that time when caste was so deeply entrenched. But 100 years later, how far have we come ahead? That's debatable. This was a great man, a brave man, a man of great spiritual courage who said everyone should be equal, and he started this thing. 100 years on, I'm afraid we haven't learned very much at all, although there has been progress. We can't deny that. What was the global population of the time? 100 years ago. Just 100 years ago. What's the global population now? About 7 billion? So that gives us perspective. 100 years ago, what was the global population? Little more than a billion. 2 billion, 1.9 billion. Isn't that ridiculous? 5 billion people added to the burden of the earth in just 100 years. Okay? Anyway, that is great change. Okay, this is fun. What was the biggest technological invention of 1917? Huh? Sorry? Wheel. The wheel. In 1917, the wheel was the first technological invention of mankind, I think, after fire. Wheel soap. Could be, I'm not sure. But worldwide technological invention that we take so much for granted now that changed everybody's lives. Nothing as giant or significant as an aeroplane or, it all happened around that time, but something really small, which is part of our everyday lives, in every home, in every... No, television was much later. The toggle switch for the light, on, off, that happened in 1917. And, okay. 2 future world leaders were born. One a man, one a woman. Both came from distinguished families. Both had famous surnames. One had it at birth, one had it through marriage. Both captured the imagination of the world as respective leaders of their countries, and both were assassinated. Indira Gandhi and Kennedy, exactly. Wonderful. Give yourselves a round of applause. Indira Gandhi and Kennedy. That's right. They both were born in 1917. Now, more to do with my generation and my field. I was from the class of 92, and I graduated in computer engineering. And computer engineering department had been started in UVCE just 5 years before we entered the college in 1983. We got in 1988, so we were one of the first batches to pass out, which also tells you that, UVC was keeping in touch with the times and introducing computer science just as, just when it began to become a thing in the world. Now, today is the 372nd birth anniversary, 1st July, is the 372nd birth anniversary of a German scientist, inventor, engineer, one of the first applied science people, father of applied science, and somebody who invented, along at the same time as Newton, differential and integral calculus. Yes, exactly. So Leibniz's birthday is today, so it's very nice to be here as a computer science graduate of UVCE on the day that Leibniz was born. So that was fun. Google told me this. When I was looking at the Google Doodle this morning, it had a binary thing, 1010, 1110, etc. So he invented the binary code also. actually, or refined it, let's say, because there's always a, debate about who actually invented it. Anyway, so all this, and my own memory of being in UVCE is I was a very, very reluctant UVCE student. I didn't want to do engineering at all. I wanted to be a writer, and I was dragged kicking and screaming through the portals of my engineering college. And my dad is here. He was also an alumnus, so he was partly responsible for this. But at that time, it was, people thought, parents, all South Indian middle-class parents thought that if their girls and their boys had to have a good base, a professional base, a financial base on which to live their lives, they should do a professional course, particularly if they had the marks to get into a college like UVC. So that's what I did. So I didn't particularly enjoy it very much, although I finished it well, so that was okay. And I was talking to Dr. Atre outside. I'm a writer now, and he said you should write on science more. If you're a writer, that's fine. It's fine that you're following your dream, but you should write on science. And I was telling him that I have, but he pointed out a very important thing, that why don't you write in mainstream media about science? Because all the articles carried by the mainstream media, whether it's the Times of India or a Deccan Herald or anything, has articles on science only written by foreigners, taken from other agencies, news agencies, and just printed here, which gives a false impression that India is not somewhere at the cutting edge of science, which we are. So I think I'll take that up seriously, Dr. Atre. I did tell you that I am writing STEM books for children. STEM is the new thing. Science, technology, engineering, and math. So through stories to teach children science and technology to make it less intimidating, more accessible. But he told me one thing very interesting, that actually STEM worldwide, and particularly in India, has been now changed to STEAM. Science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Okay, because that is one thing I think we were missing in the engineering college. We were missing a humanities side. And we will not make sophisticated, well-rounded citizens of the world if we don't also include arts in our children's education in some way. I think we've done them a great disservice and ourselves a great disservice for too long by keeping the sciences and the arts completely separate. And by forcing children to choose which they want to do at the age of 16, when they have no idea what's going on, you slot them into something and deny them an exposure to the arts completely in any formal way through a college. So I think that's great, and I would like to be seen, see myself as the poster boy of that. I went through a STEM education, but I decided to do arts, and I combine the two. In every book that I have written for children, science comes into it in some way. That is for sure. However much I resisted learning science, I did like it, I did love it, but I didn't want to do it as a course of study. But now that I have done it, I totally appreciate my parents' effort and insistence that I do this, because I think a study of science and math until you're 21 totally, networks your neurons in a completely different way and allows you to be able to manage large amounts of data very simply, to be able to see it as a structured thing. And that has helped me a lot in my writing as well. So that's about me, enough about me. Let's go on to your memories. And if I could have a mic, I'd like to walk around and talk to people. I think the most senior person we have here is 94 years old. He's from the 1946 batch, and I'd love to hear his memories first. First, you tell us about yourself, and then about your memories of UVC. You'll have to keep it closer.
My name is Brigadier H.R. Gopal.
Round of applause.
I entered this college this University College of Engineering in 1940, 41. Then those were years of war, and then there was India was undergoing this Independence Day movement. In 1942, the Quit India movement was declared. My family had very close relation with these Congress movements. My elder brother was arrested in Chikmagalur. And then my elder brother here, Varadaraj, he was 1 year senior in college, but 2 years senior to me. He was the president of the union, and I was the secretary. We were both arrested here and sent to Mysore jail. And, and we were there in Mysore jail for 2.5 months.
We have a convict. He served prison time. No, I know. Freedom fighter. No, I was just joking. Yeah.
And the college reopened, but we decided we will continue our this year with Sabarmati Ashram, as she was saying. We went there, and then that year we discontinued the studies. The next year, 43, we joined, and I passed out in 46. And immediately after the thing, we had to do this practical training. I took up a job in Nagpur. They were building a copper Keda electrical station, and I stayed there for about 6 months. Then while I was there was a gentleman called Sekri. He said, "You are physically so fit, you do about 40 push-ups every day, and you go for a run."
How many do you do now?
What you do, and then you go for a run in the morning for about an hour. Why don't you join the army? So I said, I kept it like that. And in 47, I applied for the army, and those are the days of partition, as you remember. Then I went to Meerut for selection board, and at the selection board, there were all tall Sikhs and Haryanvis and all those people who were towering above me. And one of them said, "Why the hell you Madrasi have come here? You think you will be selected?" So the first day tests were all done, written tests. Then in the evening in the ante-room procedure, the commandant came and said, "Well, now that you have you all done your examination, those names which I call will board the bus outside and they will go home, and the rest will stay." On that day, 50% of us, we were nearly 100, 50 people were boarded out and sent. I was not there.
Yes. You
the,
scored for the Madrasis.
On the second day, there were other tests like group tests and various other tests were there, and that is leadership quality there. So I probably did very well there. And same in the evening, things happened, and at the end of it, only 16 people remained in the selection board.
Out of? How many?
Out of the remaining 50,
No.
out of 100.
100.
Really.
Originally they were 100, okay.
And in 60, out of that 16, next day was some more tests, medical tests, etc. were there. And then in that test, the psychological test was more important. So when that came in, so there was a lady there, and she had short dress, wearing short dress. So as I walked in, I probably looked at those legs. So she said, "Well, what are you looking at?" I said, "I am looking at your legs." So she said, "That's very natural anyway, very natural," she said. Then she said, "Out of the tests I made, you seem to have a little melancholic thing. Why? What happened?" I said, "I lost my elder brother, who was icon to me in last year, and that has left me in a very difficult situation." She said, "Okay." Then at the end of it, next day, again in the ante-room procedure, out of the 16, names were called, and 4 of us were left, and the other 12 had gone away.
Oh.
So I was the only one of the 4 left there. The
Wow.
old Madrasi in that
Exactly.
place.
And you served your country in every capacity and rose to the rank of brigadier as well.
Later when I remember, there were 7 grades for selection. They used to pick only up to 4 in those days. And I was in 2nd grade. no one was in the first grade.
Oh, wow.
So that was very encouraging to me.
Thank you.
Then after the thing, we went to IMA for training. In IMA, probably I did well. I passed out in the first 5 of the thing. Then I was commissioned into the Corps of Engineers.
Okay.
And I did training. First, initially, we do training in the center to know my men and also other things. Then we go do engineering training in the College of Military Engineering. In those days, it was School of Military Engineering. And then after that 9 months training there, we are sent to our units. I was commissioned to 7 field company, Bengal Sappers. Believe me,
The engineers.
it was an all-Sikh unit.
Oh,
It was
okay.
all Sikh. In those days, it was not one thing. It was an all-Sikh unit. There was no Hindu or anything in that
Oh,
thing.
yeah. Okay.
Mostly 6-footers. And when I went there, it was a rainy day. After from Pathankot, you have got 7 days journey to Poonch. Poonch was the place where the unit was. And when I reported this the thing, they were all looking at me. Who is this Madrasi come again into this unit, which is all Sikh unit? So my commanding officer was Major Ghosh. He too thought I should be tested. Next day he said, you take this company out for a road walk and run. So in my unit, they were my group athletes in the thing. So they all thought I'll be finished over there. So I was put in the front. The officer stands in front, the rest come. Then we started running and the thing. So I had a tremendous endurance because I got a cross country.
shows.
I got a cross country medal.
And a great memory as well.
No, I got a cross country medal from the academy.
Wow.
So I started running, and then first mile, half the thing fell off, half the unit. So my supervisor said, sir, we must give the walking change. I said, no, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. So another mile, only about 6 chaps were left in that place. And I walked up, and then next mile, even those left out.
Oh, so only you were left.
When I saw that after 3 miles there is nobody there, then I said I should also return. So I came back. The last mile I had to run so that to impress on these people. So I was quite,
Exhausted.
the air has gone out of me too.
Yeah.
Then there is Captain Satyashankar, who was my medical officer. He said, you come and I'll give you a glass of the sugar. So he gave me a glass of sugar, and I went and reported to the commanding officer. He said, where is the unit? They're all coming, sir. I said. From that day, my credentials were really established.
Yes.
And
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your memories. Yeah, this was great. And do we have anybody else from the 40s here? No, right? So Brigadier is the only one who's here from any batch in the 40s. I think he deserves a standing ovation. I think I'd request all of you to stand up. You can watch there. Thank you so much for making it. It's our honor and privilege to have you here. Okay, we have a recorded message from somebody from the 57 batch, Sundaram P. Reddy of the 1957 batch. You all know him.
It's a pleasure to send you greetings and best wishes from USA on this 100-year celebrations. I was in 1957 branch, electrical. I have several sweet memories of our college, faculty and friends, and these memories can never be erased. The faculty have given us good foundation of education in technology and comradeship. I was commuting 6 miles from my village by bicycle, even carrying drawing board and tea spoil. arriving at the class almost drenched with sweat. However, this was made up by looking forward to hear music with friends on Sunday evenings at the Kaban Park. I'm sure that all of you assembled here today are much smarter, intelligent, hardworking, and wealthier than most of us during our time. However, please enjoy while they last. Very soon, you'll be beaten by your own kids and grandkids. Finally, you would like to see in future that your good-looking kids and grandkids and smart kids will not be looking at IITs or MITs, and therefore, please try to do some improvements to the college in all respects. Congratulations and enjoy the celebrations. Thank you.
Okay, so how many among these? 51, anybody? 52? 52? Please come. Actually, I'll come to you. Yeah, there is one seat. Very happy that you're here. 1952 batch, you said. Yes, will you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you... Will you introduce yourself a little bit?
My name is Nagaraj Vayar. I passed out from engineering college in 1952, mechanical. And again joined the college in 1954 to do my electrical.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, after my college, I worked for the army in Allahabad. Then I worked for HMT till I retired in 1989.
Tell us some memories of college. You went to college twice, like you spent 8 years there, did you? No, 2 years extra, so 6 years. Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Tell us
After
about Bangalore
mechanical-
and around
after,
UVC.
After the mechanical degree,
Yeah.
I could not find a job. At that time, either we have to get into PWD or the other alternative was HAL, the old it was called HAL. The salary they offered was around 150 rupees. My father said, I will give you that money. Build a house for me. So I did a
Oh.
civil engineering work
Oh. So my God.
for my father in Channapatna. I built a 4,000 square feet house. That's how I spent the day. Then also I didn't know what to do. Basically, my father was not very much for me to become an engineer. He wanted me to become a doctor
Oh.
because he was a very dedicated doctor.
Oh, he was a doctor.
But anyway, much against to his, I love physics. So I joined engineering.
What was UVC like in those days? Were there any girls at all? Girl students?
Students,
Not at all.
no
66,
girls,
is it
no.
the first one? Oh, I see. Okay.
just to tell you briefly,
Huh.
I am from LA Totadahalli, then Channapatna schooling, then Tumkur intermediate. Somehow I happened to get a very good marks in intermediate. Then I didn't want to apply for MBBS, so I applied for BSc and then
Engineering.
engineering.
Okay.
When the day it was announced, I was there with my shorts and a chappal. They announced, you have got a job, you have got a
Seat.
admission. It was very thrilling.
Yeah.
a boy from a village.
So you came here and stayed in a hostel then? Stayed in a
Then
hostel?
I came and joined the engineering college hostel.
What was it like?
Hostel life?
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. That's where I saw people from different cross-section of the society.
Yeah.
Cross-section of the society. I learnt a lot. Actually, Dr. M.A. Srinivasan was my senior. He was also in the hostel.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
U.V. Rao was the CEO of Larsen & Toubro.
Yeah.
He was also my classmate. He was 52 batch. Anyway, he's not there today.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We had wonderful time because there was also a reservation for people from other part of India
Yeah. Oh, okay. They were
at that time.
outside Karnataka.
Seats
Oh.
were reserved also for Rajasthan,
Oh,
Gujarat.
okay.
So we had a very nice company.
Was it no, but not like a princely states reservation or no?
Huh?
For different princely states because this was Mysore or
No, they had.
no? Because the states
From
reorganization
other
hadn't
states,
happened yet.
they didn't have a college.
Okay. Oh, they didn't have a college therefore.
So the
Yeah,
government had
right.
given
This
a-
was one of the first, right? First in Karnataka, sixth, one of the
so
first
they-
six, I think. First, fifth in India. Okay, okay.
That was a wonderful time. And so far as engineering college itself is concerned, that quadrangle was where we spent our time.
Yeah. It
leisurely.
hasn't changed.
That is
We also
something-
spent all our time.
Heaven was marvelous.
Yeah.
Well then, first year was very tough. When I heard, when I was taught about engineering materials, and I wondered whether I come here to study bricks, sand, mud. Now I know the importance of that.
Yeah.
At that time I didn't know. So, anyway,
Thank
it went like that.
Yeah.
I want to tell you one or two
Sure.
things that were very interesting that happened. When we were in the final year mechanical, we had a wonderful teacher, Y.V. Ashwathnarayan Rao.
Oh, everybody's nodding here. All the 50s people are remembering him.
He was a very strict
Electrical. Okay.
teacher, taught us very well. We respected him, we would say rather feared him a little, because he wouldn't tolerate anything short of. So one day, we all decided to please him.
Okay.
So we came a little early to the laboratory, did all the DC motor connections, everything. He came, checked everything, said wonderful, you've done an excellent job. So we're all very happy. Then he said, can you tell me the objective of this experiment? We didn't know that. Then he said, get out of my laboratory. It was a very, that is an experience I can never forget. We only loitered around the laboratory for next 3 days, then he sent for us.
Oh. Oh, wow. That is serious. Okay.
Like that. Then I spent my life in HMT as a general manager, mostly in the machine tool designs was my discipline, and the quality management was my other discipline.
Okay.
Very
Thank you.
uneventful.
Thank you so much. A round of applause. Thank you. Thank you so much for your memories.